What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and today I'm joined by a multiple top 5 Bikini Olympia competitor, finishing as high as second place, and your 2021 Chicago Bikini Pro Champion. I'm pleased to welcome Lauralie Chapados to Desktop Bodybuilding. Lauralie, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me on your channel. It's such an honor. You've been killing it.
It's awesome to have you on. Obviously winning that 2021 Chicago Pro. How did that feel? Because it looked like it was almost like a new Lauralie on stage, and looked like you just exuded a heap of confidence on stage. How did that feel getting that win for you?
It felt so really unbelievable, just because I was really happy with the package that I brought, and I was so at peace, and I just felt completely different. And the entire experience was just amazing. And it's a huge win. It's a big show, Chicago Pro. I won that in 2018, and it always held a special place in my heart. And it really hit me different when I went to the athletes meeting and I saw the stage. I was like, oh my God, I feel home. So it felt really good.
That's cool. And you seem like you did bring a different package to the stage this time around. And like soon I want to get into actually how you got into the whole industry and everything like that as well. But you brought like a different package to the stage. You seemed like you were maybe slightly more muscular, like maybe a little bit harder than the past, and looked like you were just more developed overall. Is that the sort of package you were sort of going for?
So after the Olympia and the peaking process and everything, we realized that I was lacking of muscle, obviously muscle maturity, muscle density. I've been doing this for only 5 years. You can only get so dense and so muscular and so long. And the type of muscle that I have is a very, I want to say like bubbly, watery muscle. And it's very hard for me to, get that thin skin look. Like even if I'm like lean and shredded, like I'm never going to have a grainy look. Like it's very, very hard for me to get to that. I honestly don't think I can get to that level, because I've been very, very small and still didn't have that grainy look. With that being said, me and James kind of reassessed the whole peaking process, and we were like, it's hard for us to figure, do we have to make you like super full where like your waist is kind of bloated, like not as tight, but then your glutes are popping and your shoulders are popping, because when you pump before stage, we're able to create that shape and that illusion, because they don't want me to be skinny anymore, so I can go overly lean. So we're like, listen, we have to add muscle density. Like we have to add muscle mass. So I went back to the gym and I just ate like a bodybuilder. I trained like a bodybuilder. I went back to a split where it was like quads one day, hamstring one day, glutes one day, shoulder twice a week, back twice a week. So my training changed. I finally like passed the 5-pound dumbbells and 10-pound dumbbells. I had a training partner with me. So I went to work, I just went to work. And I think, I was about 5 pounds heavier from the Olympia, like a solid 5 pounds heavier, and obviously leaner. So my muscle, were more dense and just more mature.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could definitely see that on stage as well. So it really sort of shone through. So that's awesome. But I wanted to get into where you sort of, I suppose, where you come from. Like where do you originate from, and how did you get into the whole, I suppose, when did you discover the whole fitness industry and the whole bodybuilding bikini sort of thing as well?
So I'm from Montreal, Canada, a little town called Candiac anyway. French Canadian, that's my first language. And I started to be in the fitness industry at 17 years old. I was always, pretty active. I want to say like your average active kid, played soccer when I was young. I was skiing also. My parents always put us into like team sports. And one day my team split up, my soccer team split up, and I couldn't do anything else really. So I just bought a membership to the gym. And the second that I bought a membership to the gym, I started reading on bodybuilding.com, try to find programs, read, on everything. Like I remember there was like 2 forums, like T Nation, I think, and and bodybuilding.com. And I was just like trying to find those like training programs. And I started to go into the gym like twice a day right there. And I just fell in love with training. I fell in love with training. I was like training all the machines. And one day I went to that gym more up north to try it out. And that figure pro came to me and she was like, hey, you have a really good structure to compete. And I was just like, I had no clue what she was saying, but I just said, okay. And then the rest is history, basically. Like I just kept reading on it and I started prepping for a show. And 6 months afterwards, I was doing my first show, novice show in Montreal, and I won that show. Then I got qualified for provincial show. It's like a, state show, whatever. Won that show again and qualified me for the national that year. Went to national, won the first place, but not overall. And in Canada, you have to win the overall to win your pro card. So I didn't win my pro card my first year of competing. And then in Canada, you can only win your pro card. Like there's 2 national shows and they're both in August. So I had a full year of just training like a crazy madman, which I did. Probably my best off season in my life. And I won my pro card. I went directly to nationals. I won my pro card in New Brunswick. And that was in 2015. No, 2016. And then I did my pro debut in 2017. And then 2018, I did my first Olympia and won the shows. And here we are, 2021, and I'm back in the winner circle, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a cool story. And it's funny because like I'm so used to hearing, from back when I was interviewing people like, years ago doing, that got into figure and stuff like that. It's different hearing someone getting into bikini because it's still the same sort of process. And there's a lot of people out there that sort of, at least in the past when bikini was maybe a little bit less muscular than it is now, sort of discredit it and saying, you can train for, 6 months and then, be
I know
stage, when that's really not the facts these days. Like if anyone actually sees you training in the gym or sees you on stage, they can see that's not just, 6 months of work, that's years of actual hard work in the gym. How do you feel when people actually almost discredit the bikini division compared to some of the others?
I mean, I've heard it all, and I think I don't even really think about it because we just know better. We know we train hard. We know we give a lot, and I think it shows. Like I think it's silly for people to say that we don't put in the work, which is like pretty obvious, especially more now than ever. I think people I think it's going to kind of go away, but there's always going to be, same thing with men's physique. Oh, the board shorts, but these guys are huge. Like some of them are like bigger than classic physique guys.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be like some kind of, but I think people are just kind of like making jokes about it now. I think.
Yeah. I think
because we train intense, like, and if someone comes to me and tell me like I don't train hard, I'm like, okay, let's just train together and we'll see. Let's just get a workout in together. We'll see.
Absolutely. And it's funny because, I switched from like classic bodybuilding, or before it was meant like classic physique, to men's physique. And I'm like, I train just as hard. Like it's all the exact same thing. It's just that you're just literally putting on something different, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it never stops. The work never stops. It doesn't get easier.
Exactly.
We got feedback from the judges, me and James, and we're not perfect yet. So we want to make sure that we nail a look and be confident leading to the Arnold and the Olympia afterwards. So,
yeah. What was the judges' feedback for you? Because you said you're not perfect yet. So what was their, I suppose, critique on you?
So I got, so the judge that, the head judge was Steve Weinberger. And obviously he's the head judge of one of the head judges of the Olympia. So it was a really great experience and great feedback from him. So feedback from Steve was to get tighter, about 5 pounds tighter. Wow. They want to see that kind of like thin skin look on me, which is it's always a struggle because I don't want to say I don't have that, but I don't have that naturally. And it's we're gonna it's always the part that's hard, because if I get leaner than that, I lose my kind of like X factor, which is like my glutes and my curves.
Yeah.
So with that being said, he says I need like a 5 pound leaner and to bring my glutes down by a lot.
Bring your glutes
My
down.
low,
Okay. That's interesting.
yeah,
Because
I know.
I had no idea they would actually even say that in bikini, because at the same time as well, like I remember bikini used to be a much softer look. So it's sort of gone through like transitions through the years. So I'm surprised they actually said 5 pounds lighter and then your glutes to be smaller. So how do you go about doing that? Like,
So we're gonna, I was on stage at like 135.8, like, so 136, let's say. We're gonna go on stage at Pacific USA at about 132, 133.
yeah.
And right now I'm eating tilapia 6 times a day, 110 grams, and doing an hour of cardio and just try to lean down. But I'm already really lean, and we really don't, we can't bring me stringy. I
Yeah.
think we can bring me a little bit tighter, just because what happened was like also with the tanning, when I get the tan on my skin, it gets like a little bit blurry. So I don't know. We're gonna try that. Just 3 pounds lighter and see what the judges say.
Yeah. Because they might
And
say,
just yeah, exactly. And just probably not feed me at all the day of the show.
yeah. Okay.
Not feeding me, and then no pump before stage.
Yeah. Just so you're not too, I suppose, filled out, I guess.
Exactly. And we actually tried no pump before stage at the nighttime show, and they like my shit better at the nighttime show.
Okay. So obviously, you know,
Yeah.
it works now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why it's so great to learn, because me and James have only worked together doing the Olympia, which is the biggest show of the year. So it's always kind of a spaghetti situation where it's like, well, you want to throw it and just hope it sticks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why we wanted to do so many shows. It's because we want to practice and just have some kind of idea of how to go by it, and just collect some data where it's like, okay, this is the look.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the look. This is the method. Like if you know James by now, you know how he is.
Yeah.
Really organized, really methodical, and he's awesome. And we're able to collect obviously amazing data in Chicago, but it's not the look they want. So it's not the look yet. So
Yeah.
we want to practice that and make sure that we nailed it.
Now, you said you're eating tilapia 6 times a day. Is it just tilapia and greens, or is he eating other stuff as well?
So it's tilapia with salt and pepper and turmeric and some pieces of lettuce.
Oh, wow. So
No
you're really
artificial
you're on the supper
sweetener.
diet.
And I drink 1 coffee a day.
So how do you feel now? Like day to day, how do you actually feel? Do you feel like crap right now, or what?
So I obviously had like 2 days of like really good food. I don't know if you saw my story. Like I ate some really good food in Atlanta, Georgia. And but today, like right now, I'm rolling on caffeine right now. Like it's not, I'm sure you can tell right now I have like very hard time to like speak and just speak English. And I did my fasted cardio. I wake up really early in the morning because I'm starving. And yeah, it's hard, but it's 9 more days, just 9 more days to push through. So
yeah. So people
it's
who
worth
say
it.
So people that say that bikini competitors don't work hard, then like go and eat tilapia 6 times a day when you're already lean. That is hard. Like I've pushed myself to a certain level before where, like you're doing an exercise and then you finish the exercise and you're like, oh, I'm faint. Like, and I'm sure you're experienced that as well. It's like, that's working hard, that's sort of suffering. So that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, would you always stay in bikini? Is that your division sort of for life until you decide to not compete anymore? Or would you ever like say one day, 5 years, 10 years down the track when you don't want to do bikini anymore or whatever, would you ever move to another division, or is bikini sort of a one for you?
Isn't it so funny? Like I got so many questions about that lately, about me switching to wellness. So let me give you an idea. I'm 5'8". I'm very tall. I'm very long and very narrow. I have no genetic predisposition whatsoever to be a wellness. I believe, my legs can look like on the bigger size of bikini, but not even close to be able to be a wellness at all.
Yeah.
Not even close.
So you'd
Not
always
even
stay
close.
in bikini.
These wellness girls, like, I mean, I've been training with Bobby. I've seen like Rishna in real life, in person. It's like meat. It's impressive.
Yeah.
It's years of hard work and years of hard work and years of not dieting me down. You know, every time I diet down, like obviously I don't make any gains right now. Like I haven't been doing, you know, putting on muscle mass for a long time now because I've been in a deficit. So
Yeah.
I admire all the other categories. Don't get me wrong, that these women are beautiful and they're athletes. But I think with bikini and where it's at right now and where it's heading, and I absolutely love this division with the bottom of my heart. I just want to be the best representation for that
Yeah.
category.
Now, a couple of years
For
ago,
a long time, for a really long time.
how long would you compete for?
I always told myself, like, you know, 7 more years of, you know, I would be 30. Oh my God, my math. Jesus. 32. I would be like 31, 32 years old. And then, you know, after that, you think about family, I guess, and, you know, kids and, you know, pretty much what normal people do, I guess. And I just want to do that for a long time. I want to have longevity in the sport. And I just love this. I just love the sport to my core.
Yeah.
So
So you think you'd always stay in the industry? So if you stop competing at 31, 32 or whatever, you would always stay in the industry in some capacity?
yes, I think, you know, I admire what Jacob does. I admire what Dana Lynn and Rob are doing for the industry. There's just so many great things. And I think right now it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think COVID did a lot of great things for our sport, and the way it's heading with, you know, wellness and just being completely open and international right now. Like I'm just so inspired to be a part of that, even to a deeper extent and more international, as I said, like, you know, doing seminars for, you know, people in Asia that have, you know, no access to social media all the time, or so yeah, I think most definitely I want to stay in the industry, but to represent, you know, myself and um my legacy, you know, like build somewhat of a legacy where people can look and be inspired to be their best self.
Yeah. I always see like a Jay Cutler, and I always see him as like the like perfect guy, like that's retired and he's like staying in the industry, like he's loved by everyone and he like makes a real positive impact on a lot of people. Like I see someone like him and I'm like, that's what, like I love people that retire and then do something like what he's doing, because I think he's like the guy sort of thing to look up to in terms of that sort of stuff, because he always sort of gives back as well, even though he doesn't need to do it, I guess. So I think that's a cool sort of thing to want to do, like post obviously competing, but obviously that's a long way away. You got plenty more years to still compete. So obviously,
But I sorry to cut you off. I think it starts now, you know, like even I've been so close to Flex Lewis and I always
yeah,
admire Flex Lewis. Is probably he's my idol. Like, you know, if I have an idol in the sport, like it's Flex, just because the way he handles himself, he handles, you know, his family. Like he's just such a great person, and the way he handles like his marketing, and he's just an athlete.
yeah,
He loves the sport. He's great with people. He always makes you feel at home. He's so humble, and I just really relate to him a lot. And yeah, I mean, Flex Lewis and Jay Cutler are probably like the
absolutely.
people I admire the most in the sport. Yeah.
Yeah, and even when, you know, before I did YouTube, all that sort of stuff, Flex Lewis came to Perth where I live now, and I opened up the gym for him at like, it was like 11 o'clock at night or something. He came in and we chatted for like, after his workout at like, maybe it was like 1 in the morning almost, I think, or like 12:30 in the morning. And we chatted for like 20 minutes, and he just like, I'm a nobody, and he's talking to me for like, and asking me questions. And I'm like, that's like someone who you sort of look up to and is a true champion. So I totally agree with what you said. And he's done the same. He's, you know, I think I responded to one of his stories, and he wrote back this thing saying he's watched my videos and he's, you know, and keep doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, that's cool. Like he's, you know, obviously someone who just loves the industry and just wants to support and, you know, grow things, you know, the right way, you know? So I think that's totally agree with what you say on that. But
Yes.
I want to discuss a little bit about, obviously a couple of years ago, you finished as high as second at the Olympia in bikini. You've come fourth and fifth after that, I believe that's right.
Mhm.
Obviously you would have obviously placing second, had your Ironman Olympia title the years afterwards. How hard was it, I suppose, to take a little bit of a step back in placings those couple of years?
Looking back, I realized how crazy that was to finish at, second at my first Olympia in front of, right behind Angelica and a lot of great competitors. I realized that now, because I didn't really know about the sport. Like I was just so new, and I was like, still working as a waitress. So it was kind of like, it was crazy, but I didn't realize how much it was. And then, I kind of had this, I was right here, and then I kind of went down that path, like you said. And today, like, I don't regret nothing. Like, I'm so glad it happened that way. But obviously it was really hard at first. Sorry.
It's so good.
At first it was really hard. I think my biggest loss was in the Philippines, actually. So after I finished second at the Olympia, I went to China in November. I finished first, and then in the Philippines I finished second behind Janet. And I took it so hard on myself. This one, I felt like I lost everything. I'm never gonna go back on top again. So I kind of flipped, I'm back. Okay. So I kind of flipped the switch and kind of did a 180 in my life. I quit my job. I was like, I'm going to give my 100% to sport. I quit my job, hire a coach for the first time, because before I was training, by myself and doing everything by myself. Hire a coach for the first time. And I was like, okay, I'm bringing it. And I was getting ready for the Arnold. And then the Arnold, I just brought a package that was just completely not what they wanted from me. And, when they say, when it's not broken, don't fix it. Listen to the judges.
You were trying to fix
They
it.
know what they're talking about. Stay on track. Don't get into your head too much, and don't start comparing yourself. So I went through that phase, and then I switched to James, and we had to build back up quick because the Olympia was coming up. So Olympia 2019, and then I hurt my back 12 days before the Olympia. So then I showed up at the Olympia. I finished fourth, even though I didn't bring, probably like a 70% Lauralie. Like I want to say like even a 60% Lauralie. And then I got qualified for the next Olympia, took a full off season. That full off season, I tried to stay very lean for photo shoots and stuff. So I didn't put on the mass that I was supposed to. And I was eating like 50 grams of protein. Like I got into my head. I was like, I just want to stay lean and, be able to do like the photo shoot and what's not. So when it came to prep for the 2020 Olympia, I was already pretty lean and I got ready really quickly. But I wasn't able to do like the progress that I wanted to make. So after the 2020 Olympia, I finished fifth just because that lineup was just absolutely crazy. Angelica, Attila, Janet, they all show up being 100%. I was proud with the package that I brought, but it was again like it 80% Laura maybe. And after this Olympia, I was like, okay, like now we know. I have to put my head down. I have to eat. I have to eat according to my goal. Like it's like, okay, let me do the things that are right and not get into my head and things that I know what I'm doing. So with James, like we stick on a plan. I ate, I trained really, really hard, and we had to make that improvement. We had a goal. We were like, okay, we need a 7 to 8 pounds extra on your frame leading to the show. And it's like when you hear such a number, it's like you have to start now. So that's what I did. And here we are, like at the Chicago Pro with a solid 5 pounds over stage weight and a condition that I'm very proud of. And it's just me listening to James and being calm and at peace. And it's just amazing what happened when you're in a really great environment, surrounded by great people that supports you, and that you're able to just, as I said, flip the switch and go to work and not get into your head and just give you 100% every single day without thinking about tomorrow or yesterday. Just today, right now, put your head down and work.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever struggled, like, because obviously you said you did your diet yourself before. Have you ever struggled in terms of like, you know, everyone struggles in terms of like craving something at some point, like in their meal plan, or have you ever like faltered and like, you know, eaten off plan and stuff like that? Because obviously like girls look up to you and they're like, oh, she must do everything perfect or whatever. Have you ever like struggled or anything with that, or have you always been very dedicated?
No, it's a really a thing with me. It's like, I love food. Like I can't even deny that. I always thought like, oh, if I prep long enough, like I'm gonna forget the taste, like how good, how good food tastes so good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Like every time after post show I eat it, I'm just like, wow, this is so good. But there's a moment where I flip the switch and it's like, I don't let anything get in my way.
Yeah.
Anything.
It's
So
just not an
I
option.
don't want to say I'm perfect. Obviously I crave things. Obviously I'm hungry and starving. But the feeling of going in bed at night when like you brush your teeth and you just put your head on the pillow and be like, okay, I accomplished this. And you know that tomorrow, all the suffering you've been through the last 24 hours are going to pay off, and you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, okay, I'm one step forward and I didn't mess up. Yeah,
Exactly.
there's something really precious about it. And I always cherish that. And I understood that my very first prep. And I think that that's what leads me to be such an athlete, and just like a consistent athlete, is just because I understand that every single day, every single hour, every single second that you put in pays off.
Yeah.
And even more, you know, looking back of, you know, me, let's say binging for a while, you know, in off season, I went through that phase, you know, of just, you know, after the Arnold, I just started eating and eating and eating. My metabolism was just completely crashed, and I gained 35 pounds, and I just couldn't, not that I couldn't stop, but I just wouldn't stop because I was so emotional towards food. And you know, that happened. And then, you know, you know, the full year of eating 50 grams of protein, it's like, I know better, but I put myself in those situations. And then I don't even know where I was going with that, but just with that being said, like, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
If I'm off plan, but I'm learning, and all of that serves me purpose now to understand that this is the athlete I want to be. I want to be, you know, able to have a life balance where when competitions are done, I'm able to still enjoy meal, not feel guilty. Like, I'm just way past that because of what I've been through, because of the binge, because of the fact that I starved myself, because of the fact that I compared myself so much, because of the fact that I've been 125 on stage and, you know, made a fool of myself, or because I went on stage and with a back injury and I was watery. Like, all of the past that I thought was just failures and failures and failures actually is the biggest gift that I could have gave to myself, because today, right now, all of that is the past. And I still carry it with me as life lessons every single day to make sure that I'm not going to do that again, obviously, and just make sure that I move forward. So right now I'm in a place where it's like, I feel so confident about what I know because I've been through it. It's not me listening to someone else telling me. It's like literally me, my own experience, my own failure, my own upside down experience and what's not. I'm not telling you like that you have to go through it, but I'm thankful that I did, because now I understand myself so much better. But you know, that's the reason why I do interviews, you know, out there, and just being able to have people understand or listen so they don't make the same mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's obviously, you know, the best sort of mistake to learn from is actually someone else's mistake. So people listening to this can actually learn from what you've done wrong. Yeah. But I think obviously when you learn yourself and you make your own mistakes, it depends how you react to them. Obviously, you know, like you can either make a mistake and then dwell on it and let it sort of like defeat you, or you make a mistake and learn from it and then you move on. You know what I mean? And it seems like every successful person, everyone achieving a high level of success has, you know, gone through where they've made mistakes, but then they've got up from it. You know, they've failed, they've got up, you know. So like anyone, like it's that like famous quote that everyone sees, like Michael Jordan's missed like almost 10,000 shots in his career, but he's made more than he's obviously missed, you know what I mean? Or made just as many as he's missed. So that's an awesome way to look at it. Now, Do you believe in your heart of hearts that this year you can actually win the Bikini Olympia?
You know, I don't know if I can say that right now. Obviously, it's a goal, it's a dream of mine. It always has been, and the fire is there more than ever. Do I believe that they want me to represent, you know, the bikini division? We'll see. There's so many, you know, great competitors out there. You know that for a fact. Like, it's not easy. Even the lineup this past weekend, all these girls could be, each and every one of these girls could be a Miss Olympia. Like, they all have amazing bodies. They're all so beautiful. And it doesn't get easier. You know, we have Issa, we have Jen. Am I going to be the one? I can't say that for sure.
Yeah, of course.
But that's what I'm working towards too, every single day that I've been doing. And I think I would obviously love to be Miss Olympia one day and earn that title. You know, I want to be in everyone's mind undeniable, to a point where they want me as their Miss Olympia.
Yeah.
They want to see me be the standard for the bikini division, which is huge. Like, just to say it right now, it gives me that rush. It's a big role. It's a big shoes to fill. And I think as of right now, 2021, the Lauralie that we're talking about today, I'm there mentally, spiritually, with my soul, my core, everything is in there. So we'll see. We'll see what 10 more weeks of heads down, working hard, having a package that I'm confident about, and excited to do it too. Like, you know, I'm enjoying this process so much. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So obviously when you're training in the gym, when you're going through these like hard moments where you're like, you know, like you're craving food, you're like struggling on your diet or whatever, the thing that gets you through is that, do you think like about winning that Olympia? Because I've like thought about stuff where I'm like competing. I'm like, oh, cool. I want to get my pro card and then hold my son up on stage, and just little things like that I'll replay in my head like every day as like a sort of thing to get you through those really hard times. Is that sort of one of the things that gets you through at hard times? And taking obviously nothing away from any of these other girls, but obviously, you know, every single one of them wants to go up there and win the Olympia. Do you think about that sort of stuff, like visualization or anything?
So I would like often kind of write speeches, kind of like, what would I say? You know, what would I say to the girls that are looking and they're like, okay, this is Miss Olympia, right? So I would write down, you know, let's say my story, or like what I want to share when I'm actually on that level. You know, when I earn the Miss Olympia title, like, what did I want to say? What do I want to say? Like, what do I want to share with the girls that are watching me? And they're like, okay, this is Miss Olympia, right? So that's the only visualization that I do. Otherwise, like, I'm so into training, and I can't, you know, look so far ahead and
you're focusing
put
on the
myself
process
in a position. Yeah, it's just small steps every single day, and I do believe I'm not gonna stop until I get it. So
awesome. I love to hear that. That's really, really cool. Now, obviously, before we wrap up this interview, I want to give you a chance. Do you have any sponsors or anyone you want to thank? Obviously, you know, and obviously going into that Olympia as well. Like, you know, is there anyone you want to thank for their support or anything like that?
Oh my God. I mean, so many, the support that I've got the last, I want to say, months or so has been completely out of this world. Like, I have no words to express, but first of all, my coach James from Team Atlas, always he's my rock. You know, we're best friends, and he's probably the hardest worker in the room, and he just understands my goal. He supports my goals like nobody else. And also HD supplements, AG Muscle. They've been so supportive to me, and just with my journey, they're just amazing. Dorian, Mariah, and Noah, thank you so much for everything. And Bombshell Sportswear, shout out to the best sporting brand. You know, I've been with them for 4 years now, so they're amazing. And obviously, everybody that's out there supporting me and giving me their love, that's just, you guys are my why. It's the reason why I wake up every morning, the reason why I want to share, the reason why I work so hard and I don't let myself down. You're part of it. They're part of my life every single day. Every single day.
And like I even mentioned to you, like there's 2 girls here in Perth that don't even compete, that I saw them actually share your photos out like in the past like week on social media. I'm like, I'm like, it's like crazy how it gets out to like so many people, even that aren't, you know, they're very into fitness. They go to the gym and stuff like that, but they're not competing themselves. I'm like, it's crazy how much it actually gets out there. So I'm like, you know, just across the world, obviously people were seeing you and you're making an impact. So I think it's really, really cool. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it. Hopefully we can do this again, maybe closer to the Olympia or something like that. Maybe a few weeks out if you're feeling up to it. Yeah. Obviously you did a good job today. So you're only 9 days out. So I reckon you'll be able to handle it. But thank you so much again. I'll put your social media links and stuff in the description below this video as well. So make sure you go out there and follow Lauralie on Instagram and all that sort of stuff as well. So that's Lauralie Chapados, your 2021 Chicago Bikini Pro Champion, and maybe your 2021 Miss Olympia Bikini Champion. So for Xavier Wills, Lauralie Chapados, we are out.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this interview, and if you did, you might be interested in desktop bodybuilding clips. This is my other channel. It basically takes all the best bits from these interviews and all my podcasts and puts them into shorter versions and clips on my other channel as well, and it helps me a huge amount if you can head over there, subscribe and hit the notification bell button, like all those videos and do all that sort of stuff. It really does help out with the algorithm and all that sort of stuff as well. And if you did enjoy this interview, please give this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that comes up from myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. So for Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are